Yo, what's good with y'all? Today's video, I got part 2 of how to make Forsaken. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support in part 1. You guys went crazy. It's only been 2 days since it's been out. It has like 3,000 views at the time of me recording this. It has way more by the time obviously it's out and stuff. So obviously I had to hit you guys with the part 2 and part 3 will be soon and stuff. So yeah, someone reported a bug to me and stuff. So oh, I forgot to mention this. If you guys do find any bugs or anything with like the scripts and whatnot, just let me know in the comments and I will address it and stuff. So here are the changes I made for part 2. I fixed the stamina bug that Logan Wallace X4T pointed out in the comments, so shout out to him. Stuff he pointed out this bug in the comments for me and stuff, and then I was able to go in and fix it. So it was a stamina bug where like if you it was a bug with the stamina system where like if you continue to spam like if you like you're regenerating stamina and then like you just kept spamming shift, your stamina would pretty much regen at a much faster rate because you were pretty much triggering the stamina regen function multiple times, so you had like multiple while loops playing. But the point is it's fixed. Then I added a class system and stuff. So by class system you have you have what do they call, not villains, killers and survivors, right? Different types of killers and different types of survivors. Part 3 is going to be where I make a store system to where you can actually like one access them in an inventory, access which ones you have equipped to it or which ones you have bought so that you can equip them, as well as make a store so that you can purchase them and everything, right? We're just going to make the default one for this video, and then for the last thing, a hotbar system to have our abilities and whatnot. So yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Let me just make sure we're good. Okay, we are good. So first things first, let's start out with the UI, right? So let's go on over to Core GUI. We need to insert a new frame into Core GUI. We're going to insert this frame, right? Oh, by the way, if you haven't watched part 1, go watch part 1 and stuff if you're watching for the first time. But anyway, so you're going to want to rename this frame to hotbar frame. This is going to be where our 3 abilities go and stuff. So in Forsaken, it's like in like the bottom right. So you just put it. I mean, you can put it wherever. It's really up to you. But I'm gonna make the size, I think, like 300 by 100, right? Like 300 by 100. I think that'll be good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the background transparency to 1. I'm going to insert a UI grid layout so it automatically sizes and positions everything. So UI grid layout, I'm going to adjust it to be, I'm going to do the cell padding 10 by 5. So, okay, wrong thing. We're going to say 10 by 5. And then for cell size, it'll be 60 by 50. So pretty much cutting it in half. Bam, 60 by 50. Then we're going to go ahead and insert an image label, right? Or you guys can use image buttons, but yeah, because as you guys know, it has like images and stuff for the abilities. So you're going to want to, so very important, naming, very important. I recommend you guys just name everything like the same as me. When I say naming, I'm talking about like the names of the stuff, the names of the text labels and image labels and stuff, not like the actual like text and stuff. The customization, like the font and all that and the colors and all that, completely up to you guys, and the sizing as well, up to y'all. So we're just gonna name this slot 1 image label. So this is for slot 1 of your hotbar or inventory, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna remove the default image by simply just clearing the URL and stuff. We're going to make hold on. We're gonna make the background color a nice dark grayish. It's gonna be faded. Background transparency will be set to 0.5. So something like that. It needs to be a darker gray now that I see that. Like that, right? I think it needs to be even darker actually. So something like that. There we go. Right? So slot 1 image label. Then I'm gonna do some customization and add some stuff. So plus icon, UI stroke, give it a nice white border, just like that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and insert a text label into this, right? You're going to want to rename this text label to cooldown text label. So the way you want this to work is, right, you're going to make this the exact same size as your image label, which should be the same size as the UI grid layout. So 60 by 50. So you're just going to do, I don't know if this works, to be honest. it does work. Wonderful. Okay, so 60 by 50. The whole point is it's supposed to cover it and stuff. So like when you're on cooldown, it pretty much covers it. So yeah. So bold text, rich text, scale text. The reason for this is so that this text label is going to be set like when you're on cooldown, it'll say like 45, 44, 43, like counting down how much time you have to wait. But no text by default. Text color will be changed to white. Text stroke color will be black. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0, right? And then I will set the background color to um now you want to make it pretty much have like a darker color than what you already have. But then background transparency will be like 0.5. Like when you actually do it, it's supposed to like, like just create like an over like shadow effect kind of thing, right? So like a darker. So you gotta make sure it's a darker color, but by default background transparency should be set to 1, right? So boom. Then you can go ahead and duplicate the cooldown text label. So select it, control plus D. Then you're going to want to rename this to call this keybind text label, right? And as you can probably imagine, just the keybind. So you're gonna set the text to whatever the keybinds are. Now, in Forsaken, it's Q, E, and R. So that's what I'm gonna go with, right? I'm gonna make the background somewhat transparent, so I can see it. Okay, did not mean to do that. So I can see what I'm working with here. There we go. Okay, so it's gonna be right above it. Obviously, it does not need to be this big, so we could just do like that, and I think that should work. Then if I set the background transparency to 1. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so something like that. Something like that. I'm gonna move this down a little bit more. So I'm just to make this transparent, just move it down a little bit more because I feel like it's a little too high. So something like that. Then for the last thing, we're going to duplicate this, and then for our last thing, you're gonna name this ability name text label. Very important that you name it this stuff, right? Then you can just drag this under it. You want this to be under it. It's gonna be the name for the ability. So size, I forgot what I went with. Okay, definitely not that. Yeah, I think I just went with like a it's like something like this. So it's like right under it and everything, but we do need a test. This is a test. Let's see. Or actually no. Block C cola and stuff because it wouldn't be that long. The name wouldn't be that long. Okay, so now all we gotta do, right? We have 3 ability slots. So select it. All you gotta do is duplicate it and duplicate it again. Right? Oh, that's okay. Apparently I clicked the wrong thing. But yeah, so all you gotta do is just duplicate it and stuff, and then yeah, saving ourselves a whole bunch of time. So as you can see, it kind of overlaps a bit. So to fix that, what we will probably do is we will just continue to space them out a little bit more. You can just adjust it like this. You're gonna adjust the X value because that'll put space in between each one of them. There we go. Now they each have space. Then we just gotta go through and make some adjustments. So just rename slot to image label and stuff. Oh, by the way, so if you have your images and you're wondering how you would set them, you would just go here to image, add image, then just go to your files and stuff. I don't have images for the video, but yeah, you guys can use images if you'd like. Then you're just going to slot 2, then you're going to go to your keybind text label, and then for this one it would be E. The last one it would be R, and change this to slot 2, and then slot 3, and then for the last thing I'm going to clear the ability name text labels simply just because I'm gonna clear their text simply just because we want to test to make sure that the system works and everything when we're done. So we're gonna clear the text, so no text by default, and then just like that we have finished setting up the hotbar system. So that's all the UI I added. Okay, now one more thing before we get to the actual scripting. You're going to want to head on over to server storage plus icon folder. This is going to be our characters, so we're going to name this character folder. You're going to insert a folder inside of said folder. You're going to name this folder killers. That implies you're going to put your characters, the killer characters inside of the killers folder, right? Then you'll insert another folder into character folder, and then you're going to put survivors, and then you put your survivors in here, right? So for the survivors folder, let's insert a folder, right? We're going to name this, I'm going to make the noob class, right? Which is the default one in the game. Then you're going to insert some values so that we have some stats for the player. So first things first, we're going to insert a number value, right? This is going to be how much this is going to be the price. So how much it costs by default, it'll just be 0, except since it's noob. The reason we're setting this up for the shop system as well for like in part 3 stuff. Then you can go ahead and insert another number value. This will be health, how much health the player will have and stuff with using this class. We'll say 100 for the new class by default. Then on to our abilities. So for the abilities, you're going to use a string value. You're going to specifically name them slot 1. Very important, because as you can see right here, you notice how it matches slot 1, right? So we're going to say slot 1. Then the value is going to be the name of the ability. So I'm just going to use the ones from the game. Biloxi Cola. Then you could just duplicate this. Then for the second one, it's Slate Skin Potion. Then just change this to slot 2. Then duplicate. We have ourselves slot 3. Then Ghost Burger, right? Then let's insert another number value. And then we have sprinting speed. This is our last thing, actually. Sprinting speed. So how fast the player runs and stuff. So I know I spelled it wrong. Sprinting speed. How fast the player can run. Then for this class, we'll say 24. Again, you guys can put whatever values you want. All that matters are that the names are the same. You guys can put whatever values you want. Right? And then that's our first class and everything, right? You guys can add more classes, obviously. I'm just making one just for the sake of demonstration, but you guys can, of course, make as many as you want for survivors and killers alike. Now we're done with that. So let's go ahead and move on to the scripting. Okay, so you're going to want to open up the local script, right? You're going to come down to like right here and stuff after the running variable. This is to fix the stamina glitch I was talking about. So you're going to create another variable. You're going to say regen active. As the name implies, you're going to say it's value equal to false. As the name implies, this will keep track of whether or not the player is currently regenerating stamina. So that pretty much, if they're currently regenerating stamina, you can't trigger the function again, because like, well, no, you can trigger it again, but it'll check to see if they're currently regenerating. Because if they are regenerating, then it won't let you trigger another function, kind of thing. So, or start a second regen, if that makes sense. So first you'll say if regen active, which is the same as saying if regen active is equal to true. So if the player is currently regenerating, then press enter. You will say return, because they're already regenerating. There's no need to trigger another while loop. Then you'll say else if not regen active. So if they're not currently regenning, enter. Then you will set regen active is equal to true, because they are now currently regenerating, and then you'll move on to the while loop, and then just put a space in between that, right? Then you can scroll all the way down after the while loop and stuff. You're going to say regen active is equal to false, because this means the player has finished regenerating. So set that back equal to false, right? Then we're going to come down here, and then you see how right here for the walk speed, you see how we set it to a default speed. You guys remember this and stuff, how we set, like, for when the player is sprinting, we set it to a default speed of 32. Now we need to set it so that whenever the player tries to sprint, it actually changes their walk speed to whatever the sprinting speed of their current character is. So we're going to say player dot sprinting speed dot value, right? Let me just double check to make sure. Okay, we're good. All right, so value dot sprinting speed, right, dot value. Then we're going to, I think actually, or actually there's like one more thing to do. So yeah, then we're gonna go all the way down here. Oh, I don't know why that's still there. Oh, that must be a glitch. Oh, that must be a glitch. Yeah, that must be a glitch. Not sure why that's. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's there. Let's see if I closing it. Okay, there we go. That fixed it. Okay, anyway, so then we're going to come down here, right? To make this easier for y'all, I would say just find the if statement, which is if event type is equal to round. Click this arrow right here, enter. So you're literally just going in between the two ends, like the two sets of ends, let's just say. So two ends at the top, two ends at the bottom. Then you're going to say else if event type is equal to class. This event is for whenever a player switches classes, so to update their UI. So enter. You'll create a variable called ability list. It's going to be a table. So set the argument 1. It'll be a table with a list of their abilities. So you're going to say core GUI dot hotbar frame dot slot 1 image label dot ability name text label dot text is equal to ability list regular bracket 1. So for the first one, then we're just going to copy and paste, select all of it, Control C or copy at the top, then Control V, Control V, bam. All you got to do, change the second one to 2, change the third one to 3, change this to slot 2 image label, change this to slot 3 image label. And then just like that, we are done. Now we can move on to the server script. Okay, so going here, we're going to scroll down right here to right before the player added function. You're going to create a variable, our character folder. So local character folder is equal to game.serverStorage, wait for child, character folder, right? Then we're going to create a lot of new values. So you could just copy and paste either health amount or stamina amount, doesn't matter. So Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. I think that should be enough. So for the first one, it's going to be class. We're going to keep track of whatever class the player currently has equipped. So just copy and paste this. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. This is of course going to be a string value now, not a number value and stuff. So the value, set it to an empty string by default, right? We're gonna set their class to the default class a little bit later. So then we're gonna parent this to the player. Then we'll have the sprinting speed. Make sure I spelled that right. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and I spelled that right. And then by default, we'll set this to 24 for the default class because noob is the default class. Then for our next variable, we will call this leader stats. It will be a leader stats folder. We're going to create our currency system. So leader stats, Control C, Control V, Control V, delete that line, Control V, right? Then for the last thing, we're going to rename this to money. Again, another number value. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. By default, it should be 0 or whatever the default is. Then parent this to leader stats so that money can display. So that money will be displayed to the player. Then after this, you're going to set up a function. You're going to say class.changed. So whenever the player switches classes, connect. Oh my bad. Function close parentheses enter. You're going to create 3 variables. First slot 1, and then you're not gonna assign a value to them as of yet. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. Right, then you're gonna use a for I loop to find which character the player is currently switched to, or is currently using. For I v in pairs, you're gonna say character folder, get children, enter, right? You're gonna say if v find first child class.value. Remember, class.value is the equivalent to the name of the class. So we're currently like, I'll break this down because I know people get a little confused when it comes to for I loops. So we're right here. So we're going to say if v is one of these two, right? We're going to say if it finds the name of the class. So if it finds it inside of the killers folder, then it's a killer class. If it's inside the survivors folder, then it's a class for the survivors. It can only be one or the other, right? So then enter, then you'll proceed, right? And then you're going to create a variable. You're going to say local class folder is equal to v find first child class.value, which then brings us to here. And now we're inside of this folder, right? Then you'll set these values you set these variables value. Slot 1 is equal to class folder dot slot 1 dot value. Slot 2 is equal to class folder dot slot 2 dot value, and slot 3 is equal to class folder dot slot 3 dot value, right? So boom, that would be done there. And then I believe after we are done with, yeah, okay. So then after we're done with all that, we're going to fire the remote event, core event, fire client. Wait, no. No, I know I'm missing something. I know, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I am missing something. Okay, we need to also update some things. Hold on. The sprinting speed and the health. That's what it is. Okay, yeah. So we need to say player dot character dot humanoid dot health, or sorry, first thing is max health, is equal to class folder. What is it called? Yeah, class folder dot health dot value, then player dot character dot humanoid dot health is equal to class folder dot health dot value, and then lastly sprinting speed. So let's just say sprinting speed dot value is equal to class folder dot sprinting speed dot value, right? Then okay, we'll come back here. For the client, the name of the event. So firing to the specific client, comma, name of the event is class, comma, then we'll send over a list of the abilities which I need to create. So I will create a variable, name it ability list is equal to special brackets, then I'll just insert all of the abilities. So table.insert ability list, comma, slot 1, table.insert ability list slot 2, and then not task, table.insert ability list slot 3. Nice and simple. And that's not slot 3. Okay. Slot 3. And then we will send over the ability list. Bam. Right. And then the last thing we need to do is come down here. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I really don't know why it keeps doing that. It's so weird. And then we're gonna come down here. So in between this, right, we're going to say class.value this, and then you're going to put your default class here. So noob is my default class. This is the reason for this, so that it triggers this function, so it automatically will update upon the player joining. Now we can go ahead and test to make sure this works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Link to either one of those options can be found in the description. If you guys want access to this, to these scripts, or any other ones, just look in the description for that. So I highly recommend that. But anyway, oh, I just realized I forgot something else. So yeah, ignore the breakpoint. I don't know. That's just a glitch with Studio, and I don't know why it does that. But I forgot one thing. Before we do this, we need to do not character, workspace, wait for child, player.name. So wait for the character to load, because currently it's nil or null. Okay, there we go. No errors. So as you can see right here, it's updated the text, no text here and stuff because of my class. It's updated. So now I have my ability. What is that? Why is it invisible? Huh. Oh, that's the spawn. Right. Anyway, so we have the abilities, right? You guys see all the abilities and stuff. We have all that, and it sets everything. So let's do this. Let's create another class to test something. So I'm just gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna call this test, right? You guys don't have to do this. I'm just showing you guys. Let's say health is like 50, right? And this is like test 1. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Test 3. I don't know why I keep clicking right there. Test 2, right? So let's click play, right? By default, we're going to be with the noob class. But if I change the class, or I change the value of the class to test, see how it switches. There we go. Very different now, right? So bam. So yeah, there you go. The class system works and everything. So yeah. Like I said, in part 3, I plan to make a inventory system to where you can access all of the classes you currently own. You can equip them and stuff, as well as make a shop system to where you can go and purchase other classes and stuff with the money you have in game. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like and subscribe. I will continue this series going so long as you guys keep showing the series love and support. That's all that matters. So yeah, just show the video lots of love like you did part 1. Thank you guys for all the love and support you showed on that video, and I'll see you guys in part 3. Thank you for watching.